Hey there guys, Aldershot here, and today we're going to do an impression video on Rayne Betrayal, released on Steam for its regular price at $10 and developed by Abstraction Games. Now technically Rayne Betrayal isn't a new game. This was on consoles almost 2 years ago, give or take. But to be honest, this is the first time I've ever heard of it. This is the first time I played it, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed. I am enjoying Blood Rayne Betrayal quite a bit. So let's get into the game and kind of explore why is that. Now we've made our way to chapter 12 so far. I haven't actually quite finished the game yet, but let's actually explore an earlier level just for the sake of this video, so I don't suck too bad. So as you can see, the game looks quite gorgeous. It has excellent looking sprites, beautiful illustrations, and awesome animation. Silky smooth animation, and the attacks and moves look quite dramatic, quite epic, alright? And the game actually functions very well. It's running at 60 frames a second, maybe even faster. So yeah, it's actually a really good PC port, and overall it controls really well as well. It's very on point as far as the control goes, very responsive, and generally speaking it does pretty much exactly as I expected to. Alright, now Blood Rayne Betrayal is extremely combat focused. Alright, so not even just combat, but offensive combat focused. So there's not even a duck maneuver, there's no dodging, there's no blocking or anything like that. So when you want to dodge a move, when you're trying to avoid a move, you're actually going to have to use your attack movesets in order to do it. So you do have some low attacks, which will help you duck below certain gunfires and attacks if necessary. Alright, now you do have a dash move as well, and that can be used as a dodge, just like this. There is a key invincibility frame when you activate your dodge move, but after that invincibility frame you can get hit afterwards. So even the closest thing to a evasive maneuver in this game is extremely niche-y, and does require a certain degree of skill to utilize it properly. Now this game does actually have a huge set of different attacks available to you. We'll go over that after this encounter, as we are getting kind of owned a little bit. I'm not really paying attention, which is not a good thing for this game at all, because this is actually a skill-based beat 'em up, and it does demand quite a bit of attention and concentration from the player in order to do well. So let's explore some of the moveset now that we've taken care of the mobs. Alright, so you do have your down sweep, of course, and then you have your upcuts for juggling, and then you have your normal combos and all that stuff. A couple of interesting things you can do. You can dodge, you can dash into attacks, obviously, and you can also do a flip jump, which will give you additional height. Great for platforming, and there is quite a bit of platforming in this game. Also really good for reaching high flying mobs as well. Now you do have a grab move that you can combo into as well. In fact, you can't grab onto mobs until they are stunned, and you can only stun them through attacks. And you can use that to drain their life to regenerate your health. Or alternatively, you can bite them just for a second. That will infect them, and it'll allow you to kind of blow them up. We'll demonstrate that in just a second when we find an appropriate mob to do that with. Alright, so let's just take care of these guys real quick. Now I heard this game being compared to Castlevania quite a bit. Actually, let's demonstrate some of the grab moves first before we get into that. So we stun them, we hold our attack, and we drain them of life, regenerating our HP. An interesting thing about how this game has handled HP regen and health and all that stuff is that you can't actually get items to regenerate your health. The only way to regenerate your health is either to reach a checkpoint or to grab an enemy and suck them of their blood. So even the health regen is being handled through combat. And again, this game is really focused on offensive combating, alright? Anyways, as I was mentioning, this game kind of gets compared to Castlevania or Metroidvania games quite a bit. I've seen on forums and just from other people's description. But after playing it to Chapter 12, I kind of disagree with that. It does share a few common elements, It is a side-scrolling 2D action brawler, so that's going to be, you know, the most obvious element to compare it to Metroidvania styles of games, and there is a couple of hidden areas that you can kind of find in order to find hidden treasures and all that stuff. But outside of that, there's no actual alternative routes to get from one area to another. The game seems to be fairly linear for the most part. The game really has just one path to kind of progress you through the chapter. So that alone kind of sets it apart from standard Metroidvania games. It is a little bit more linear, is a little bit less exploratory, and also there's no real upgrade system, alright? The only thing you really find is treasures to improve your chapter's ranking when you finish it. Like that stuff there that I just broke. Like, that doesn't give me HP. That is simply just treasure to improve my rating. Alright, so do keep that in mind. So that's kind of why I don't feel this to be too much like a Metroidvania game, as it only shares a couple of elements, and it's really more of a brawler than anything else, and quite a good brawler. As I mentioned before, the controls are very responsive, has a great moveset for you to exploit and to kind of discover as well. The combat is handled very well. You can tell the designers really put a lot of focus into it, and there is some level puzzle elements too. So I'll show you that now right here actually. So this would be a good area to demonstrate it. So I'm going to hit this guy, stun him, infect him, not drain his blood, kind of lure him to this wall here. Come on now. Alright, I think he's close enough. Then detonates. There you go. That will explode the destructible wall there, allowing me to progress through the level. So this game does feature a few platforming elements as well as a few basic kind of level puzzling elements as well. So there's another example. We're gonna uppercut this guy, kick this guy over, and fail on our kick. So let's just kill this guy. Start over. And then blow the wall up when we kick him over. So that's really great for a couple of reasons. This area here, or this little puzzle here, it demonstrates some of the level puzzling in this game, but it also demands the player to execute a very specific combination of moves, just to kind of discourage button mashing. Now again, you can button mash in this game, but after a certain point of the game, not really knowing what you're doing will hinder your progress and ability to do well in this game quite dramatically. So learning all the movesets will definitely help your game significantly. And again, this is actually kind of a skill-based brawler. Alright, you can only get so far by button mashing. After a certain point, you really do have to know what you're doing. You have to understand what movesets you're about to pull off. That will actually, of course, have a great effect with how well you're going to progress through this game. So I'm kind of in a boss level here. So let's take care of him real quick. There we go. We basically had to infect some mobs and kind of blow up the little stone areas on his legs, and that's about it. Pretty cool boss fights. I've encountered a few so far, and they've all been very enjoyable. So let's kind of talk about this game's difficulty as well. Now, this game is actually very demanding on the player. It can be extremely difficult, but however, it's not that punishing. And the reason being is because they've actually set up appropriate checkpoints to more difficult encounters. So if you do die, and there's no penalty for dying besides restarting from the last checkpoints, you can actually get back right to where you left off very quickly. You just have to get past that learning curve of that encounter in order to kind of progress through the game. So the game does demand you to get better through combat, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't annoy the player through having to rerun a large portion of the level for overly long. So that's actually kind of a cool design choice. Again, that does put a lot of demand on the player. That does keep the difficulty of the game without it being overly annoying or overly difficult for the wrong reasons. So there you go. The game is actually pretty enjoyable, I have to say. Overall, very good looking, obviously. The soundtrack's absolutely fantastic. I'll give you a second just to listen to the music. So pretty good rock tunes, I have to say. Now some people might say the soundtrack is a little bit generic. That tends to be the case whenever games tend to use rock themes for the music, but I like it. I really do. I think it suits this game very well. It suits its atmosphere. It does send that badass message, and that's something else I forgot to mention actually, that you do have a gun. Alright, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But the soundtrack, very, very good. Excellent sound effects overall. Nothing annoying sounding. All the sound effects do sound pretty appropriate to what it's trying to do. Alright, so before we end this game, I do want to talk about the gun. Now you do have a Magnum. We'll find some mobs to kind of demonstrate that. This one. Oh, we just died here. This is kind of a tough puzzle here. Tough platforming segment, I should say. As you can see, this game's not easy on you with the invincibility frames. So we can actually shoot these guys with our Magnum. As you can see, it does a lot of damage. You can combo into it as well. But because it's so powerful, the game limits you on the amount of ammo that you can carry. And you actually have to pick up more ammo when you run out. There's no infinity ammo or anything like that, alright? So there you go, guys. Blood Rayne Betrayal. Very, very good game. One of the better entries to the Blood Rayne series for sure, I have to say. This is quite a gem for $10. I think it's very, very well worth the asking price. Definitely check it out. You have the funds or you have the time too. This is one of my favorite brawlers I played this year, I really have to say. I love the responsiveness to it. I love the amount of depth to the combat. I really like the overall balance and difficulty of this game as well. It is difficult and demanding without being annoying. And that's a really good thing, I have to say. So overall, Blood Rayne Betrayal, very, very good game. I can honestly recommend it. Definitely check it out if you have the time or the funds. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found this informative. If you did, please send me some love, like, share, fave, and comment. But most importantly, subscribe, help me grow, and feed me my vegetables. Thanks for watching, guys. Aldershot out.